Hello, and welcome back to the Creative Archive. My name is Kelly Ferguson. If you're new here, this is a series that I'm doing on my channel about photojournaling, and I'm kind of going through some of the basics around that. In this video, I am going to share a few common barriers that prevents people from engaging with this interaction with their photos and photojournaling. And so I want to talk about a few ways to overcome that and how to make this process a little easier if it's feeling intimidating and a little daunting to you. Just to share just a little background about me is that I am a photographer and I have been for the last 9 years. And what got me into photojournaling in the first place is through another career I had in home organizing. I did that for about 5 years. And one of my fellow colleagues, Hazel Thornton, wrote this book, What's a Photo Without a Story? And she has since, I think, put more of her focus on helping people organize their family archives. And in this book really got me thinking about my own relationship with my photographs and how to add more context to the photos and just develop a relationship with them in a way that I never really thought of before. Okay, let's get into some common barriers that people can encounter and like how to move through those. Probably the number one thing that comes up for people when they think about engaging with this process is that they think it has to be some high level piece of art and amazing writing and beautiful photographs, and it really doesn't. This can be a very humble, simple process, and it does not need to be this grandiose thing. On some of these channels where people are really into the aesthetics of their journal, like that can be really cool and inspiring to see that. But if watching those kind of videos makes you shrink and start to question yourself and your own artistic expression, then I'm going to ask you to, maybe not watch those type of videos and allow things to be simple, allow things to be messy, and it just doesn't need to be this amazing piece of writing and artwork. I know it's sometimes easier said than done. And sometimes art teachers, loved ones, strangers can really say things that ruin a good thing. And so I don't want to minimize that, we can have these voices come in and make us question that our entry level beginning process with something is not good enough. And I want to tell you that it is, that anything you create is a beautiful thing. And just engaging in art, in self expression, is an act of like bravery. And so I want you to give yourself credit for that. The other thing that can be a barrier is that people worry that their journal might be read. And some people go into this practice knowing that this is for future people to read. And so that's one way to go about it. But if this is something where it's more for you and you're worried that someone could read it, my suggestion around that is to allow yourself to write things as you need to say it and just in its raw form. And then you can either later trash it or burn it, rip it up. So at least it moved through you and got out, or type it out in a, like some type of document that has a password protection for you. If you still want to have this in your photo journal, then maybe there's a way that you can write about it from a more neutral place or leave out certain details and names to where if someone did happen to read it, they wouldn't know like what the situation is or what it's about, if you know what I mean. So that would be my suggestion in terms of how to work around that piece. Something else that people can get easily hung up on is that they need to have special supplies and materials in order to get started with this. And I'm telling you that really the only thing you need is like a photo, a pen, and a piece of paper. You mentioned in another video that you can even put these on like a 3x5 index card. You can print a photo on printer paper. You don't need to have fancy pens, markers, crafting supplies, any of that to get the benefits of engaging with this type of creativity. For those of you who have never really been into writing or journaling, often feel like this is like a practice that's like not for you, or that you're not going to like it because of the writing piece. And I will say that like you don't have to do a lot of writing with this for it to be photojournaling. You can write lists, you can do words, whatever is feeling inspiring to you. I think you should roll with that and not get caught up in, oh, this has to be this whole writing exercise. Like it really doesn't. And if you're kind of like overwhelmed by this needing to be all about your feelings and yada yada, that's not necessarily true either. You can keep this very factual if you want to simply document who are in photographs, where something was taken, what event it was, who's in the photographs. That's also documenting and photojournaling. So you can keep it very factual as well. It doesn't have to be this emotional deep dive. I hope that helps any of you who may be intimidated by writing and are thinking that it has to be this like Dear Diary type of approach. It doesn't have to get into your emotions if you don't want it to. So, another thing that people kind of worry about with this photojournaling practice is that the photos have to be super good quality, or that you have to enhance them or edit them before utilizing them. And that is not true. So that's a whole other process, and it can be a distraction. If that's a rabbit hole you want to go down, that's totally fine. You can simply describe the photo in your journal if you want to go about it that way and not like use it or have it in your book. Now, I have been saying photojournaling practice, and that may imply, oh, this is something I need to do like regularly. This doesn't have to be a consistent thing in order for it to be beneficial or valuable. Yeah, making this into like a rigid routine right off the bat, especially in the beginning, I think can easily lead to dissatisfaction and an unpleasant experience with this process that I think can be really cool and fun and enjoyable. So don't put pressure on yourself to make it a thing, make it part of a daily practice or even a weekly practice. Like just get started with it in a very casual way and then see where it goes. Follow your own rhythm with it in terms of when you feel inspired to journal. All right, so that's all I have to share today. I hope these ideas were helpful to kind of move past maybe some of the barriers that might be coming up when thinking about photojournaling. Yeah, so let's hang out. Would love to have you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.